Hi, Danielle. How are you?
Good. How are you, Francis?
I am wonderful. Danielle, I wanted to make sure that I shared who you are and what you do with the world. I
Definitely.
know that many people know a little bit about technology, but they don't know enough maybe to get themselves into technology.
Mm.
So, if you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, who you are?
Okay. For one, I'm Danielle Thomas, and my role in technology currently right now is the Scrum Master. And so a lot of people are not familiar with that name or what it does, the roles and responsibilities piece of it, or that you can actually make a good living off of that particular title. So I'm here to educate everyone on what a Scrum Master is, what they do. That is some of my background. I also have communications and marketing in my background, as well as business, and just all around the customer advocate, always looking to better make things better for the customer. So that whole customer experience piece is right up my alley as well.
I like that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
If you don't mind, so for someone that knows nothing about technology, what is a Scrum Master?
Okay. Well, Scrum Master, the name derives from rugby, actually the game rugby. And it's like the captain of the team who kind of makes sure that the team is together. They collaborate to kind of come together to get things accomplished. In that particular sport, that is to win, and what strategies those that take occur in that place. So in order in the scrum world and technology, what I do is remove obstacles for the team, any impediments. So if they are having problems getting answers from leadership or other teams, cross-functional teams, I will come in and step in and to get those answers for them so that they can continue concentrating on the work. And then as well as I'm responsible for making sure that that workload keeps moving, that so that's where the removal of the obstacles comes into play. I will go ahead and assist that so that the work can continue to progress and move forward so that we can meet then it's an agile world, but still we have 2 week increments, sprint increments as they're called. And that's just basically an allotment of time that we've designated as a team where we have come together and said we will be able to do this amount of work in that time frame. And so my responsibility is also getting that team through that work in that particular time frame. And of course, some things will carry over to the next sprint, but that is the overall goal of that. And it's also to be a coach. And that's probably the most important piece, being a coach to those on the team, making sure that they adopt the agile methodology and know what that entails, making sure they're aware of the different ceremonies that are basically going to be able to help and shape the team in regards to their collaboration, and then just holding them accountable as well by coming to those meetings and expressing their concerns, or if they need to work with another individual and they're not getting the answers. So that's where a place we all meet to find out what is going on in the work that you're doing yesterday, today, and if you have any roadblocks. And then also, if you need help, just making sure that you make that known to other team members who may have the knowledge to be able to assist you. And then if not, then that's where I kind of come into play to be able to get that information to them. So just coaching them, getting them in the practice of keeping that environment going, making a safe environment for them as well. It spans across personal lives, business lives. So Scrum Master wears really many hats.
I see. And I really love that. And you gave so much detail into what you do. Now, it also sounds like a Scrum Master is a servant leader.
Yes, yes, definitely a servant leader, leadership role. You're there for the team. Anything that they want, need, you're there to provide that assistance. So whether it's additional resources to help them do their job better, whereas that listening ear, if they're having problems at home or with their children, whatever the topic, even their pets, who knows? But it's just basically being there to serve the team in any capacity that they shall need. And, you just do that with a gracious heart, open mind, and just creating that particular environment and being that person actually helps the team to be able to be more productive.
Yeah, and you do a really great job at what you do in the Scrum
Thank
Master
you.
role. You're welcome. And I can say that because Danielle guides me. So she is
Oh,
also
thank
my
you.
coach, and she mentors me through the Scrum environment. So I really appreciate that.
You're
It,
welcome. Thank you.
you and I want to. You're welcome. And I want to know. So there are a lot of people. They understand. Okay, technology. It's the internet, and they
Mhm.
may think, oh, it's the internet. It's Google. These social media platforms. If they have no idea about this role, and I'm thinking of how I was when I was searching
Mhm.
for, well, I want to be an ET, but how do I get there? So for someone that does not have a lot of technical background skills, what would you tell them to do first? How can
Well,
they
I
get?
would definitely tell them to do their homework, do your research, go online sites like LinkedIn, lynda.com, internally degreed. There may have be some external partnerships there as well, and also Pluralsight, just to name a few. Udemy is a big one. I would say go on there, look up the role, look what training there is. YouTube University, of course, is always a good one. So definitely look and do your research on that part and start taking those different modules and testing your knowledge checks on those just to kind of see where you are and if it is something that you really want to do. If it is, I would then say the next course of action would be to seek out somebody who has that role so that you can shadow them and see what their day-to-day is like. And eventually, after shadowing them, then you can get some hands-on experience into that realm and actually act out those particular roles. And then you can get a better idea and you can gauge just how everything runs, what it feels like, and if it's really something that you want to do. Those are definitely my first go-tos, I would say. And just also, I would say, because you're not technical in the sense of the word that most people use it for, never account or sell yourself short because you are able to learn. You have the cognitive ability to be able to learn. So you've proven that by being where you are today. So just take that skill set and take that with you in your learning and how you want to manifest in this particular role.
I like that encouragement.
Yes,
That
thank you.
was deep coaching right there. Because I'm taking it on for myself too.
Oh.
Are there any, so if a person wants to dive into this field, they go through the different training within those software products. Do they need any certifications or can they go into the role without having any of that?
I would actually say yes and no. I have seen individuals who take on the role, whether it just be by a team assignment and somebody left and they kind of backfill that without a certification. The certification just enhances your knowledge, makes you more credible and marketable, so that it's good to get a certified Scrum Master certification. And if you can, Scrum Alliance is a good avenue to seek that out. And there are a couple more, but Scrum Alliance is the most notable one. And just going through that 2-day learning session and then testing afterwards, it really just solidifies your credibility and your skills and locks that in, making you more marketable to other companies. So I would definitely say encourage that. You can definitely hands-on, of course, is the best teacher, right? But that would just reinforce that, I would say. So definitely always learning, continuous learning is always good. So continue to keep that going, no matter
Thank,
Scrum Master or any other role.
thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Are there any tools that are used probably across companies that people can develop themselves on?
Yes, sure. I would say version one is a tool that I use, as well as GitLab. I've seen also Monday.com is another popular one now, really popular. Jira, I've seen that used. There are a few other ones. It just depends on the company's preference and I guess what dollars they have allocated to spend during, for different tools and whatnot. But they're pretty intuitive, pretty user friendly for the most part. You can learn it really quickly just sitting in with someone. So don't let the tools fool you. Just go get in there and just dive right in and just start learning. And you can also find out about those online as well. And it'll take you through different tutorials to help you learn.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, I believe like you mentioned, YouTube. Did you call it YouTube Academy or what did you call it?
University, YouTube University.
Yes, I like that. Uh, because there a lot of people, even when I was in school, there would be certain things that I didn't understand when I was trying to go through SQL,
Yeah.
SQL, but some call it, and
Mhm.
I used YouTube University
Yeah,
to
see,
walk me through it.
that's right.
Do you do volunteer events when it comes to your Scrum work?
You can say that, yes. And it wasn't known as a Scrum Master. A lot of the work that I did in volunteer organizations, whether it be with the Girl Scouts, my child, with the Girl Scouts or the Boy Scouts, I've done it with both, as well as some past marketing roles. Everyday items can be Scrum. Even within your family, you have Scrum and agile methodology. You have a task list or for chores, say for example, for your children to take care of, and you're on them and you're making sure that they're completing it. Not like it's that you have a partnership and a collaboration. Of course, that's a little different with parent and child, but I have created a board before and had the children mark off, once they completed something or moved it to done. So there's ways that I have done that through volunteering or just through personal life. Different organizations like with the Girl Scouts, especially during cookie sales, what all needs to happen, what needs to be done, when do we need to pick up, just to keep things moving, making sure those orders are in, reaching out to the people. So all the little checkpoints, those are all part of Scrum, and how you use the others that may be in the organization with you. That's the collaboration piece. And then even there are some coaching opportunities as well when things don't always go the way they should. So there's always opportunity to coach or to even be coached, because just because you're a Scrum Master does not make you, the master of everything and you just know everything. It doesn't work that way. So you feed me, I feed you, and we all learn together.
Oh, I like that. But that really shows that you have the heart of a Scrum Master when you can put your personal life in the world of Scrum.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
I, I like that. So should
thank
people
you.
be afraid, or should they just call different organizations and ask if they need volunteer work for Scrum Masters to get
I
that?
would say, yeah, I would say go for it. They should not be afraid. Of course, it's, when you don't know someone or the organization, you may not be as familiar with it or the company. That's the only thing. I mean, all they could do is say no. So that's the worst they can do is say no. But at least you tried. You put your foot out there. You put yourself out there to try to learn. And if when it's meant to be, the right person will respond and you'll get your opportunity. So I would definitely say, and it doesn't even have to be a paid position. You could just say, hey, just looking to get some hands-on experience. If there's anything that you need from a volunteer aspect, that you would be there to fill in that blank for them. And I think a lot of companies and organizations would appreciate that.
Thank you. That's
Mhm.
really good feedback. So is there a way to come in entry level when it comes to the Scrum role, or you just come in full force?
Pretty much from what I've seen, full force. I know there are some positions out there that have a junior scrum where that might be a little bit more entry level, but I haven't seen a lot of companies have that particular title. So I would say just regular Scrum Master. And then, of course, they have different levels at different places where you can be, Scrum Master, Senior Scrum Master, or either Scrum Master 1, 2, 3, and so forth. But I would just say, yeah, come in with an open mind and just ready to be able to collaborate with people. If you had any nervousness or hesitations with speaking in front of people, being a Scrum Master really gets you out of that. I hadn't really had that much, but when you do it on a continual, sometimes you're like, oh goodness, I'm speaking again. So, but yeah, it kind of gets you out of that mindset. So it really helps in that regards. And just hearing a lot of the different projects that the teams are working on and what it takes to make those happen, you really get to see that go full life cycle. So that's really neat and to see that end result, and also how the growth of the team changes over that course of time.
Thank you for that information. If you don't mind, can you please share a little more information on the different ceremonies and why those ceremonies are there?
Sure. With the stand-up, it's basically a 15-minute time-boxed slot on your calendar. And the team basically comes together at that time to give updates, to hold each other accountable. And it's basically just the opportunity so that you can learn from each other and hear and see what is being done and what is being accomplished in that time span. It's meant to be real quick. It's not meant to put anybody on the spot. But, if there are issues that arise, that's the area that they should come out. If you're having difficulties getting something from someone or you don't understand, that's an opportunity. And then from there, at least they know they can take that item offline and have a meeting or a work session to delve more deeply into that. So those are 15-minute. This time box, they could be daily for in some cases, or depending on the maturity of the team, it might be just a couple times a week, and it depends on the nature of the work as well. The other one we have is Backlog Refinement. It used to be called Grooming. And that's pretty much where the team comes together with the product owner who has items from the client or the business partner that needs to be prioritized. And she or he has pretty much kind of had some ideas or thoughts on prioritization, but the team comes together and kind of lets the product owner and myself, the Scrum Master, know what they're able to do or what is accomplishable in that time period of that next sprint, that 2-week increment. So in that time, the work will get prioritized. It'll be refined down to, do we need it? Do we not need it? Putting points on there, the description, the acceptance criteria, and just going through that and categorizing those so that you do have work to pull from. And then it kind of goes into sprint planning, which that's where, okay, these stories have been refined, they have been groomed, as they say, and they're ready to go. So in that sprint planning, you can say, hey, we're going to take this story and that story, we'll be able to get them done in this particular sprint. And so then you have your stories for your sprint or sprints following after that too. And then sometimes, of course, there's overlap. So there's no rhyme or reason necessarily. It doesn't have to be exactly this way. It's agile. So what the whole point of agile is, you kind of make it work to what your team's desires are, as well as leadership's is taken into consideration, but you make it work. And some components do work for you, for some teams, and some do not. And then we also have the demo session or the showcase. And after everything has, you've gone through your sprint, you've completed the work, this is the time to showcase what you have done to your business partners or your clients to so that they can see their ask actually completed. And they can sign off and be like, okay, yeah, that's great. I like how this works. Or either, no, I don't. And then, that could be something that could be revisited later. But at that time, you invite invite everybody in. Your team is there as well. And there might be even cross-functional teams that come to that to see the work that has been completed during that time and the value of that work. And so after that, yes, time to start all over again. So for the new sprint, you go back in, get your planning, done, what stories are going to pick out, and it kind of goes right back through the process. So very, very engaging, lots going on. There also is larger increments where it's 12-week period. Those are our PI planning sessions. And during those, that's where a whole bunch of teams kind of come together and talk about what the features or the different work that they're going to do for their respective teams. And those planning sessions, work is usually planned out during that time for all the sprints, and they get placed in all those particular sprints, usually 6 of them, and they determine what work goes into each and also refine those stories during that time period. Some have trains, safe, agile trains, and they work similarly, a little bit more scaled down situations. So it's a lot going on. A lot of teams sometimes say it's a lot of meetings, but they're meetings with purpose. So it's all for the betterment of the team and to help them. We're not just meeting to meet.
I completely agree, because I've had a lot of meetings where I'm like, why is this not an email? Well, we're here. But I have not seen a Scrum Master meeting where that's happened at all.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
good.
yeah, I really love that.
And I forgot to mention too, the most important one, I think too, is the sprint retrospective. And at this time, the team gets to come together after that demo and all the sprints, the work has been completed and all the other ceremonies. This is the time the team gets to come together to see what went well, what didn't go so well, and what can be improved. And a lot of sharing happens in this. You get to see a lot of people's personalities come to life, kind of do different tactics to bring that communication out. so that's a really good time to share, and the team can see how they grew from one sprint to the next, and then, correct anything that they needed to be improved in the next sprint.
Mm-hmm. I get to see you in action, working with the different personalities, and you are so good because you're able to change in the moment and adjust to that specific person and make sure that they have what they need. And that's true leadership.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. You mentioned those PI meetings. So I may have heard about it, and I probably tested on or something.
Yes.
But today, for the first time, I was putting together the planning meeting and information on why we need planning meetings. I've never been in a PI meeting.
Really?
I haven't, so I have to be in one of those because it sounds pretty exciting. Several different teams with all that personality.
Yes.
Do the leadership come to these meetings too, or?
They do. I actually have one coming up, and I don't know if I put you on there or not, but I will. But basically, all leadership comes, how they take place. Usually there's a kickoff meeting, and this is the meeting kind of where everyone, the leadership, all the managers of the team, they say, what they're going to be doing, who their team is. So it's kind of introduction and a tie into the work, what they look to accomplish during this next 12-week period. And then sometimes there's a guest speaker who will speak to the teams about, whatever of their choice, either something related to the work or something else. And then after that, the teams are on their own. And when I say on their own, that's when they go into their think tanks, if you will. So each team will have breakout sessions to actually go through and talk about the different features that are going to be in that particular PI session, and then develop the stories for those particular features, in this case, to determine what work needs to happen under each feature. And then sometimes there's some nuances that you may get down the road, but for the most part, these are going to be the features. And let's put some stories together of things that make sense to happen under these particular features. And so that's usually about a 2-day Time frames can vary. It could be some teams might be able to do it in an hour. Some it might take 2 to 4 hours. So it just depends on the nature of the work and maturity of the team. And then the last day, on the third day, usually that's when the teams will come back together. And then after the plan has been flushed out for all the respective teams, then the product owner will go ahead and present on this is what we look to accomplish with this feature, this particular PI session, which is program increment. They will talk about that, and then there'll be some closing remarks by either a speaker or either the director, and then teams will go off to do their work.
This is like a whole assembly.
Okay. yes. And the virtual world, of course, it's been online, but when it was in the office, there will be snacks, provided, or managers will come by and give candy. So a whole bunch of little different things. We'd have lunch provided. So it just varies on how you kind of mix it up and what you want to do with it.
Okay, I have to be to one of these. Because that is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So it almost sounds like a mini IT symposium. That's what it sounds like.
Yes, kind of. Yes, you could say that.
That is so cool. See, you learn something new every single day.
Right. That's right.
That is cool. Okay, cool. So in a smaller world, with a lower amount of developers and stakeholders, would you still do the same kind of thing like that PI session?
Now, when you say smaller world, like on the team itself, or?
Yeah, so if there weren't other people that they needed to network with, is there a way to still do that same kind of meeting where you're meeting for 3 days and trying to find out, okay, this is how we're going to add the stories and this is what we're going to work on? Is that not necessary with a smaller group?
Well, with a small group, it does depend, because sometimes there'll be many teams in this. Sometimes it may not be. It might be only a handful of teams, like say 5 different teams. It still happens. It's just that, and then also not all those teams may overlap or need each other. Sometimes there are teams that are solely dependent on what the actions or the work of another team does. So those teams will cross collaborate, and they may even combine or hop in and out of each other's work sessions. And then there's other teams that they're still involved. Everybody is still under the same product suite. However, they may not be dependent on that particular group. So for them, it's just additional learning and sharing of knowledge.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so I'm going to put together my own.
There you go.
They're going to be like, if you don't get out. See, you teaching me stuff, and now I have to find a way to put it on in there.
You can do it.
And build my own bridge and make my own little world. They're going to be like, this is why.
You got it.
Thank you so much. So you've given me so much information. You shared a lot of details about what you do, your world. And I know you serve as a mentor to me in the Scrum world. Are you available to serve as a mentor to other people?
I am. Anybody that's interested or, or may think that, it might be something, but they're really not sure, definitely they can reach out to me. I'd be more than happy, to share what I know. Always available. I know things get hectic and busy in all our lives, but I can always carve out some time to help somebody grow and learn. And especially in our community as African Americans, there's not many people that I didn't know about the role actually until I, came into this IT world. And it was even after some time then, and I thought it was one thing and turned out to be something totally different. So a lot of African Americans in our community, I think, may not know about it, or even in other communities. But what I like to do is, open that door for somebody else to let them see what it can do, and that it can provide a sustainable, good income and, upward mobility opportunities.
Girl, if you don't go ahead and talk like that leader you are.
It's silly. It's silly. Let's create that pipeline. Let's create that pipeline.
I like that. Build our own network.
Yeah.
I really like that. So if you don't mind, how can people get in contact with you? Do you mind adding it in your name?
Sure. Let me see. Just in the chat here.
In the so where your name is, just adding it in there, and that
Okay, I'm
way,
sorry. Okay.
an email address or something like that.
Yes. Let me get in here. I
And
will
my
put.
eyes have been watering. People
Uh-oh.
probably say, "Why is she crying?"
Don't cry. It's all good information.
Right. It's all gonna help somebody. And basically,
Exactly.
this is why we are talking today. This is why Danielle is here, because there are so many people that have no idea how to break into IT. In
Mhm.
some worlds, it's called ET. And so to understand what a Scrum Master does and the fact that you get paid well to do it is really important. And that technical piece. A lot of people think that you have to know the different languages of IT, but that's not necessarily true.
No, no, no. As many people may try to tell you, of course, it's good to have the knowledge. You just want to be able to learn, be that continuous learner so that, when you do learn this information, you can be able to speak to it. But it's not like you're going to be coding or, running this script or something of that nature as a Scrum Master. No, you will not do that. But definitely the technical breadth that it adds just in learning will definitely benefit you and help you down the road.
Thank you. That's
You're welcome.
that's beautiful information. If you want to get in contact with Danielle, you have her email address.
Yes.
She's giving you a lot of tools that you can use to benefit yourself. Go ahead and start doing that first before you
Mhm.
even reach out. And that way you have something to come up and say, hey, here's where I am. Where do I go next?
Yes, yes, definitely. Don't be shy. Definitely don't be shy. Just go out there and go for it.
And normally, if I knew of any roles that were hiring on my podcast, I would
Mhm.
share that information. But I would just say maybe just look at LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's probably your best bet. You can also, set up different searches on a lot of these search engines to alert you for this type of role or others that you might be interested in. And you can see their particular job descriptions and what they're calling for. And then that way you can govern yourself accordingly.
Thank you.
You're
Beautiful.
welcome.
Beautiful. A
Mhm.
lot of information, very detailed. This was a whole nugget. And I love it. So I'm about to take it to the table and they're gonna be like, oh my gosh. Tell her that. Okay.
And don't forget your network because you never know who knows, somebody who is a scrum master, was a scrum master or something. So don't forget your network.
Yes, a little information. So I literally, Danielle did she was on a program and
Mhm.
I literally reached out to her and said, hey,
Yeah,
I
she
want to know
did. She
more about
did.
what you're doing. And we have been communicating ever since then. She cannot get me off her hip. So
And she can't get rid of me either.
that's right. I'm not going anywhere. And she's basically guiding me through what she does, literally. So it's a real benefit, like she mentioned, that networking piece. Like you have to take it serious because how else can you identify where you are and where you need to be if you don't have somebody that's already there?
Yes. Yes. So
Yes,
true.
yes. Any last words? I cannot believe that you gave so much information. Just me. You gave so much information in such a short amount of time, but are there any last words that you have for people?
I would say just be encouraged. If it's something that you really want, just give it your all. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to reach out to others. And definitely you make it your own. So each day I go into work, it's really kind of a different day. I mean, if, the ceremonies, sometimes they may get redundant. You just think of different ways or research other techniques and put a spin on it. And so that way it keeps it fresh, it keeps the teams energized, and then everybody is, happy for the most part. Not saying that everything is bed of roses, because that's not reality, right? But you just try to think of things, how can you outdo yourself? And so with those little things that you might try, tactics, it might be, just doing a different game, helping those, because we do have game days that we do incorporate just to kind of break the monotony of the work, and which creates a better productivity output. So just think of those things. Just know it's not textbook. It's like you don't have to do it all in order, or you don't have to do this thing. If this meeting or this ceremony doesn't work for you, don't use it or incorporate it in a different way. So you really have a lot of flexibility in how you want to relate to the team, share the knowledge, and coach. So just at the end of the day, remember you're a servant leader, and you're doing this for the betterment of yourself and others, and also the company that you work for.
That's right. I love that. Oh, I have one more question.
Sure.
And it's just a thought. Is there any way to do this as your own business?
Yes, you can consult. You can be an independent contractor and create your own Scrum business. I can't say I haven't entertained it a time or two, but yes, there may be there there are companies out there that are looking, and they may be looking for those independent contractors, and eventually you can of course farm yourself out, so to speak. But then once you get to a certain point, then you could have a business that does that for other Scrum Masters and go from there. So there's definitely lots of opportunity out there, and it's a skill set that you now have, is acquire. You just keep honing it, and the sky's the limit.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
There you go, giving me some more gems.
Well, I'm glad they're
Danielle,
gems.
thank you so much, right?
Yeah. Yes. You're welcome. You're welcome. Most appreciative to join you today. Mhm. All right. Can you hear me now, Francis?
I can hear you. I'm not really sure what just happened. We were pulled out,
Yes,
put back in. So
exactly.
this is going to be it'll probably be in two parts, since I'm not sure what just happened.
Okay.
I've never seen that happen before. How strange.
Yeah, that was. I was like, oh no.
Okay, Zoom.
Do what you do.
Right. But thank you so much for taking the time out to share this information. This is really good.
You're
I want
welcome.
people to know that, because there are so many people without jobs.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is a great role to be in. And if you love leadership,
Mm-hmm.
this is where you can really get your start. And then
Exactly.
IT, who and why wouldn't you love IT? Because it's the way of the world.
It is. It is. Yep.
Yeah.
Really, I didn't see it years ago. I would have never thought, but yeah, full circle.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Danielle. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate your time. And then
Yes,
we want to check back with you in the future, because I know you have you'll have more great information that you want to share with us.
definitely. Definitely. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me today. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Yes, it's been a pleasure speaking with you and getting all that good information.
Likewise.
Probably why Zoom shut down. Like, okay,
It's an overload.
right. All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds great. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.